Welcome, everyone. Occasionally at RunSignup, we do customer or event spotlight, highlight videos. So I thought we'd do one of those today, but with a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a fun twist. So at RunSignup, we started working with the Foot Locker Cross Country Championships this year doing registration. And instead of bringing on the one event director, we brought on 3 people to talk about the event. And you may figure out in a minute here what the connection is, but I'm going to go around and introduce everybody really quick and have them just say what they're up to and what they do for work and life, and if they ran Foot Locker, what their best finish was in which year. So we'll start with Jorge Torres. Go ahead, Jorge.
Thanks, Matt. Yes, and thanks for RunSignup for putting this together. I'm Jorge Torres. I was a 1998 Foot Locker contestant. Best finish was first. I'm one of the few that made it 4 times, and it took me four tries to get it done, but finally got it done. I now work at this company called Global Athletics and Marketing. It's a sports agency that works with professional athletes, and we do professional events. We've had some pretty big clients and had a pretty good summer this past year in the Olympics. And also on top of that, I coach on the spare time at an all-girls Catholic school here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I took up the opportunity to also help with the Foot Locker Northeast and become the coordinator and run the show.
Julia from sunny Puerto Rico, you're up next.
Hi, all. I'm Julia Mallon. I guess you could say formerly with Stamps. Oh, this is a really fun question for me. Okay, so I have to look it back up. I don't remember my time. I think it was 1641 or 1643. And I won the race my sophomore year. Couldn't do it my freshman because I had a ruptured appendix. And then my worst performance was my junior and senior year, where I didn't make it to the finish line. So there you have it. What am I doing now? I own a marketing agency. We get to work with so many amazing outdoor brands and active lifestyle brands, which is why I'm in beautiful Puerto Rico. More to come on that. And we get to work with Hoka, really just helping from an inspirational standpoint of the experience that the athletes will be receiving. So probably can't say what that is, but all I can say is don't miss it.
And then Mark Davis from Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Mark Davis, originally from San Diego, from right around where the course is often run, but transplanted out here to Boston originally to work for the Boston Marathon and run their communications department for several years. I'm now retired. Back in the day, I ran as a junior, and I was the top finisher as a junior, 8th place my junior year. Even though I only went into the race 8th place from the regionals, I had a really good race, obviously being on my home course. And then luckily had the pleasure to come back my senior year and just kind of run in front of the hometown fans and win the race. And as a lot of people often know, it celebrated a little bit too early, and therefore missed what I believe is still the standing course record from now almost 40 years ago. But I'm essentially retired. I left the marathon and now kind of took my social marketing and marketing skills into the private sector. And I work for a bunch of restaurants and bars that kind of helped get them through the COVID era, but now I continue to work with them. And then I do a lot of announcing on the weekends at road races all around, whether it's Falmouth, whether it's a local 5K here and there. And then looking forward once again to be involved with Jorge at this year's Foot Locker Regionals.
Thanks, guys. And I'm Matt Downin, as I said at the beginning, Vice President of Business Development at RunSignup. I work with a lot of our timer partners and partners we work with around the industry. This year, I get to help with Foot Locker cross country registration and run support on that. I ran Foot Locker Regionals from 1991 to 1994 and was national champion in 1994. So the connection there is all 4 of us won this thing back a number of years ago, which is pretty cool. So a quick little background about the event for those of you who don't know. Foot Locker cross country entering its 46th year, started in 1979 as the Kinney Cross Country Championships. That was the parent company at the time. Over the years, it's changed names a couple of times based on the brand that made the most sense for the parent company. It was Kinney, and then Foot Locker, and then East Bay Cross Country, and then Champ Sports. And it is now back to being called Foot Locker Cross Country Championships. There are 4 regional meets. Any high school runner in the country can run one of the regional meets. The top 10 finishers from each region qualify to run in the national championship. As Mark mentioned, the national championship is out in San Diego, and the Balboa Park course has been most of the history of the meet. It moved to Orlando for a few years. And then they go out there in early December and duke it out to see who can be a national champion. So, great history. Lots of people have come through the meet, including the 4 of us on this call. So let's go back around again. Just a quick little bit. Each person, if you have a funny story or can say something about your Foot Locker experience, whether there's something meaningful about where that took you or whatever. So let's go around and we'll go backwards. So Mark, your Foot Locker experience, what do you remember? How much trouble did you get into? Those kinds of things, right?
Well, yeah, I guess I was a bit known to get into some trouble back in the day, but I was a bit of a hothead back there, back in high school and college, and probably most of my professional career. Luckily mellowed out with age, but no, it was a great experience for me. Again, both races, back-to-back years for me. 85 and 86 were both in San Diego. So getting to run on my home course, literally, I mean, that's where we ran our city meets, our qualifying meets for the state meet, what have you. So it was a great experience for me. It was obviously very personal to have so much family and friends and support there, and it was just it was an absolutely wonderful time. It was surreal for me back then. It was literally the only national sport in high school that had a national championship. So now there's other track national championships, but back in that day, that was the only sport in high school that you could call yourself a national champion. So to be one was to be the only one. And so it was obviously a tremendous experience for me. And I think really it was obviously a huge catalyst for the rest of my career. I mean, you look at the former champions or people that finished in the, top 5. When I ran with Bob Kennedy, with Todd Williams. I mean, big names in the sport. And you've seen so many of these big names, Adam Goucher. I mean, all of these guys that have really gone on to have huge careers for me. I think one of the coolest things for me, the connection that ultimately happened was, as soon as I graduated from college, my first professional contract was with Foot Locker. It was at the time when they changed the name from Kenny to Foot Locker, and they started a track club, and they signed on several top athletes. And I was lucky to run for them. So that was kind of a neat kind of full circle for me moment. And then again, as I mentioned before, to be able to kind of be involved, at least at the regional level here in the Northeast with Jorge, that's again kind of a full circle moment for me. So I really kind of feel like that's been kind of a completion of my involvement with Foot Locker over the years.
That's great. Julia, you have a fun memory from Foot Locker? Anything funny stories you want to tell?
I don't know. I think
Nothing about me though. So don't.
I was about to say I kind of live vicariously through all these other characters that are on the call. Names I won't include. I mean, it's funny. Sometimes you really don't know the experience you had until decades later, and I'll kind of explain why. But I think, Foot Locker, you kind of meet your tribe, right? Like you meet all these other runners from across the nation who are slightly like obsessive about running in all aspects, but at the same time too, kind of share this common bond. And I didn't realize how strong that bond was. Obviously had an amazing experience at Foot Locker, loved it. I definitely was always really, really good. So I don't know if I did anything wrong. My mom and dad may have had my head for it. But I can say that, decades later, still the dearest friends that I have today, even not competing, even, suffering like major accidents and, things that got me out of the sport, I still have this really strong community, and it's still the Foot Locker community. So sometimes you don't necessarily know when you're there what it means, but I could definitely assure you, decades later, those friendships stay intact. And for me, I think that's the biggest gift Foot Locker gave me was this friendship and community that I've had for decades.
Piggybacking off what Julia said, I'll go back to my first year as a freshman going in to Foot Locker, where I was just a young kid, and there's just these seniors, and Julia, you being one of them, I was like solely like in shocked and in awe, like, oh my God, this is a national champion sitting in front of me. And you were the sweetest, nicest person in the world, and like said hello to me, and I was like, oh, like, scared little freshman. But also the champion that year happened to be Abdullah Zadani, who was also just as equally as friendly. And to me, I remember just sitting there and just watching how these athletes, these older kids, compose themselves and wanted to be them in the future. And then I took that and really, oh my goodness, look who joined us.
What Bob, what are you doing here? Oh, you're muted, Bob.
You're muted. Bob's old. He doesn't know he's still using the phone. This is an AOL. You can't just sign on.
That's perfect. I was just saying, I think I'm in the wrong group. I wish I could still run fat support group, but apparently you're old and you're on mute.
That meeting starts in a half an hour. You're a little early, so that's all right. That's okay. You can join the meeting and give us your story. So everyone, Bob Kennedy, Mark beat him in '86, but he came back in '87 and took the win home back to Ohio, right? I got that right.
Right.
Yeah. So Bob joins us from either Indianapolis or Nashville, depending on which city he's in today. Bob, give us a quick little your Foot Locker story if you have one. You remember anything from your days other than getting beat by Mark as a junior?
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely remember getting beat by Mark and Todd Williams that year. And no, Foot Locker is a special experience. It was a big deal. It was being hosted at the Hotel Del back then. I don't know if it still is. That was really amazing. And I remember the two speakers my junior year that Mark won was I might get the years wrong, but I think it was Billy Mills, the Olympic 10,000 meter champion, and he. 16 years old, and I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I'll never forget him saying, it's not about the medals or the records, it's about the journey. And at 54 years old, that rings very true today.
Cool.
So
that's
that was
cool.
really cool.
Well, since we got Bob on, let's go through. We had one more time around here, and I know Jorge got cut off, but
that's okay. It's all good.
So quickly go around. What are you doing for the meet now? What are you doing for the meet this year? How are you supporting the meet? And then Bob, just when we get to you, what are you up to these days? Like, I think everybody would like to know. So Julia, let's start with you this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, Bob, it's great to have you on here.
Hi,
yeah,
Julie.
so for Aventus, we're really just trying to help with the experience for the athletes and making it a memorable one. I think it's definitely some pretty big shoes to fill, considering that they have been memorable for how many years now is it, Matt, that Foot Locker's been around, or
40,
versions of it?
This is year 46.
So someone else tell me another cross-country meet that's been around for that long. So I think for that, it's obviously really exciting. More to come, but really just excited to be a part of it and get to meet these amazing athletes.
So yeah, like I said, last year I took over the Foot Locker Northeast as a coordinator, joining some. It's a big shoot to Phil. Phil Zota was the long coordinator in the Northeast. And I joined Peter Hankes, Doug Todd, and Larry to lead the ship. And it's been great. I actually last year took it from Van Cortlandt Park, which might have not have been a popular move. I brought it up to Boston in another historical course where Mark Davis was kind enough to jump in and give me a good hand. And we felt like it was a great first year in Franklin Park. We want to continue to build off of that. It's been great to be on this side of things where I'm watching kids go out there and race and give their best shot and try to make it to San Diego. And I just hope that we can continue this for another 46 years as well.
And Mark, you said you're doing announcing. Will you be announcing this year at the meet?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say I feel like the godfather of American distance running just came into the room when Bob Kennedy showed up. I mean, I probably have never said this enough to Bob, but I mean, he's just, for me, I didn't have a whole lot of idols back then. I didn't really look up to Prefontaine or Billy Mills or any of these other people. I got to actually live the real life of running in the shadows of Bob Kennedy and seeing everything that he did. And the moment that he broke 13 minutes in 5K in Stockholm was probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. And so I'm just in shock and awe that anytime I get to see him, I'm intimidated by him more than anything.
People watching this are not going to realize that I didn't tell you guys Bob was going to be on, and because you said his name like 5 minutes before he jumped on.
Yeah, no. Again, I mean, that's to me, that's one of the first people I think about in my generation of running was Bob, and just everything that he gave to the sport, and anytime he can be a part of anything, I think is great. But
Thank you.
yeah, I'm thrilled to be. I was really thrilled last year when Jorge reached out and asked for me to be involved again. My involvement with running it, my involvement with running for the track club that they started back in 1993, and for Jorge to reach out to ask me to be involved, it was absolutely no brainer. And certainly it being here, I mean, I was around it when it was up in Van Cortlandt. I've been out, I think, to the Nationals maybe once years and years ago. I don't think they don't want to invite me out for some reason. Who knows? Maybe they just not sure what I'm going to do out in my hometown and getting in some trouble. But I've aged in my life, so if they want to invite me out there, I'd be happy to go out. But I'm excited to be involved with Jorge in the event, and it's special to me being around the event for so many years, and to be able to help out, whether it's announcing, whether it's just kind of help out with the event management for the regionals. It's a thrill for me to see all those kids out there, trying to live their dream.
Bob, quick, what are you up to these days in the running community? And then I know the other four of us would love to hear what it was like to go back to Foot Locker years later as a dad instead of a runner. So yeah, that'd be cool to hear a quick story about.
Yeah, well, I'm still involved in the running industry through retail. In 3 Athletic Annex running stores in Indianapolis, Central Indiana. And my wife and I, she owns, and I help her own 6 Fleet Feets in the Nashville area. So I'm in Nashville today. Feels like the green room behind me. It's just a newly remodeled home office that doesn't have anything on walls yet. So, so yeah, that's awesome because we're connected with runners of all levels and types, new and experienced and fast and not so fast. And it's fun because you get to feel the emotion and the energy even after your competitive days are done, and that's great. And other than that, yeah, I'm following Sophia, my daughter, and her twin brother Marcus are both college athletes. Marcus is playing soccer at Eckerd College in the Tampa St. Pete area, and Sophia's running at Stanford, Julia's alma mater, and enjoying that. So I'm kind of chasing them around as much as I can, which I love. I love doing that. So going through kind of the high school, revisiting the high school Foot Locker experience, both regionals and nationals with Sophia, was honestly extremely nerve-wracking from a parental. It's someone asked me this the other day at the ACC championships. Is it more nerve-wracking running or watching? And 100% watching. I mean, you have no control, right? And your kids are out there on their own, and you just want them to feel good about what they're doing. So that's very nerve-wracking, but it's just a great experience. I was talking to Riley Stewart's a teammate of Sophia's at Stanford from Colorado, and she was the Midwest Foot Locker champion, I think Sophia's junior year in high school. And she was just talking about how fun that was, how fun the Midwest region was, not to mention the national meet. And it's just the like intensity of the start line, and there's no boxes, and unless you run in Europe afterwards, like you never see that. You just pick your spot and go. And a lot of people don't know what to do. So you're like, if you're experienced, you're standing on the line as a parent, saving your kid's spot, and you're kind of helping other parents out. You're like, hey, you just want to don't leave there. That's where they want to start. Don't move, right? And it's just a good time, and I think kids love it. The energy's high, and then the national meet for me was cool because the course is the same. Like it had like from when Mark and I ran, and all of you, it Balboa Park. Other than the couple of years it was in Orlando, or the 1 year, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's just pretty iconic. I think I feel that way.
Now, Jorge, you won it in Orlando, right?
I did what, right? Yeah, I won it in Orlando. I had 2 years in Balboa Park, my freshman and sophomore year, and then 2 years in Orlando, junior and senior year. Yeah, and it's funny, Bobby, you mentioned, the course is the same, and you're talking about saving a starting spot. I'm just picturing the Midwest when the wind's blowing at 30 miles an hour, cold, miserable, and your parents are sitting there trying to save you a spot with your starting line. Yep.
Right.
Put you right back home.
Right.
That's cool. And so from my side, and I didn't, I work for RunSignup, obviously work with a bunch of race timers and races and race directors all around the country all year. From my side, it's just really cool to have this be one of our customers, to be able to try to lend some of our technology and some of our expertise to helping a great event. Okay, so our
Just keep it coming.
is the superstar of the group.
This is like one of those talk shows where they just start bringing on all these celebrities. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I said, who could be better than the rest of us? And it's somebody who did it two times. So one of the few two-time Foot Locker national champions.
Right.
First high school girl ever to break 10 minutes for 2 miles, which I was there to see.
That's
at
awesome.
the Carrier Dome in 1991 in the cold.
Wow.
Melody, welcome.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here. Nice to see all of you.
It's good to see you. So Melody, give us a quick little couple minutes, your Foot Locker experience. What do you remember? What stuck out for you? What was super meaningful for you?
Oh, my Foot Locker experience. Honestly, the environment over there at the Hotel del Coronado, the beach, the incredible hospitality. There was a woman working for Kinney back then named Carol Sharkey. I can still remember her. Wow. She was like a mother to everyone, and just the excellence of the whole thing. It's always been the most excellent, national championship.
And Melody, what are you up to now? What I know you're working on some really cool stuff that you do there in Boulder. I'd love to hear just a couple minutes about what it is you do now in Boulder.
Oh, thanks. I have Boulder Mountain Warriors. It's a running club for youth between the ages. I go by the USATF guidelines, 7 to 14. But I can't believe how many people want their 5 and 6-year-olds to join a running team as well. But, it's wonderful to serve those kids too. So we do cross country in the fall from mid-August to mid-December, and then take a break, and we do some winter running January to March, take a break over spring break. Then we do spring track and a little tiny summer track before a nice vacation. I'm an assistant camp director at the Steens Mountain Running Camp up in southeastern Oregon. I've been doing that for 22 years, and Boulder Mountain Warriors is really thriving. I have 15 coaches. We have about 96 kids on the roster right now. It's very exciting. We practice 2 days a week still. I really encourage multi-sport, kids. I don't believe in specializing early, and I feel like I'm trying to push against a strong tide against that right now. It's kind of interesting, but it's so fun to see the kids who, spend time with us, and then they become healthy varsity runners at our local schools here. And then I've started hiring those kids back to help mentor the kids coming up. And so we have a nice full circle, and it's awesome. I see George Torres on there, and his brother Eduardo, his son Anthony's running with us this fall.
I was about to just mention that the irony of all this, that my nephew's out there running with you. Make sure you crack the whip hard on him, please.
I'm trying to watch, I always have to watch the parents. The parents, they're the crazy ones. I think Eduardo might be doing that.
Good.
I'll tell him to take it easy on Anthony then. Oh, that's great.
Well, this is great. I want to thank everybody for joining. It was super fun. We thanks for the people who are working on Foot Locker and keeping the things going, and thanks to Bob and Melody for jumping on. And I tried to break the record for the most Foot Locker championships on one video call, and we'll see if
You might do it.
we can figure out if I did it or not. So
That's pretty
and
good.
I have no more surprises, I promise. Melody,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Sorry
thanks
for all the
making the
background.
surprises funny.
Hi,
And,
Melody.
Jorge, I'll see you soon. Bob, take care.
Yeah, talk to you
guys.
guys later.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
See you,
Thank
Matt.
you.
I'll see ya.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this chat we had. Super fun. If you want to learn more about RunSignup, visit us at runsignup.com. You can schedule a call to talk to somebody and get started today.
If you like what you've seen here today on RunSignup's YouTube channel, please feel free to like and subscribe. Comment below with your favorite thing we did today. Tell all your friends, and happy running days to you.
Every video is going to have that at the end of it now.
Absolutely. Why not? Why?
That was Joel, everybody.
I'm a software developer, but I moonlight as a YouTube sensation. Hi, Mom.